Hello, class, and welcome back to another lesson. I know y'all have been excited, and I know y'all have been waiting for this one. Yes, the rest of your classes are boring, but today we will talk about things that actually matter, that will help increase your quality of life. So thanks. Save the applause for later. I appreciate everybody for showing up. Let me learn you some. You're gonna get some in this video. Today we're talking about the age-old battle of good and evil. The age-old battle of flesh and spirit. What many like to put in their head as this complex idea, but in reality is just man versus his animal nature. We all have tendencies to kill, to steal, to murder, to rape. The deepest that it goes within your subconscious, you don't even know. Likely because you have yet to confront these things within yourself completely, but trust me, they're there. You are just an animal. Not just, because once again, this is a war between your flesh and your spirit. But let us not get it twisted. You have animal tendencies. You have animal nature that is exerted on the daily. You're probably going to see me itch my nose or itch my shit all up in this video. That is my animal nature. Imagine I yawn. Imagine I burp. Imagine I open my mouth real big and you see my big old teeth. What do I look like? An animal. So I cannot get past the fact, and none of us can, that each of us have a fight and fuck tendency. That each of us exhibit the traits of nature itself, which is chaos and calamity. All going on 24/7, cyclical, chaotic change between the animal kingdom and Mother Nature, who gives life to the animal kingdom. But you, a man, a person, a human being, if you want to call it that. I'm not going to put limitations on your perception by keeping these terms in one place, because in reality I don't even know. Do I transcend being a human? Probably. But right now I'm in human form. So I guess we can speak about that in the meantime. You have divinity. You have a deep desire in your DNA. There is divinity in your DNA, just as there is despair and absolute chaos. Obviously, there is divinity in your DNA because you are watching this video at this moment right now. And if we look across the grand scheme of human nature, everybody wants to increase their people's and their own quality of life as much as they can, regardless of how much their mind gets thwarted into believing that they're going to have to do some fucked up shit to get to that point. Everyone is exhibiting a search for a higher something. Everyone. Even if that thing becomes their own ego, they still are trying to find something above themselves, if they're putting themselves above others, however you want to put it. Even the people who run the world are searching for a higher divinity, even though they're fallen into a Luciferian agenda filled with absolute thwarted and wrong pride, putting themselves above others, believing that they have to exploit others in order to gain any sort of survival between their bloodline. But at the end of the day, these are unconscious forces and demonic entities running through these people, and it's nothing new because it's been going on since the dawn of time. Because even if you look at this from an angelic perspective under the canopy of God in a biblical story, these energies have been exhibiting themselves before man was created. So what is the point? Each of us have a battle going on in our mind 24/7 between this higher search in divinity and what our personal experiences have led us to believe is going to get us there, aka the flesh. I jerked off every day from 7 to 17. I was addicted to pornography, and I know many brothers probably watching this video right now have had their vices, have had their issues since they were young, that they had no idea where they came from. Once again, just as despair was in your DNA, so was just as divinity was in your DNA, so was despair. So what was I convinced? Everybody wants sex. Everybody wants procreation. That's the most divine thing in the world, to make another human. Yet we live in a society where these tendencies are exploited. And how did these tendencies exploited? pornography, put in front of our face our deepest desires. So what was I able to do at any moment? Give into those desires, because my deepest authentic desire is pure, is wanting to contribute to something above me, which involves having a family, which involves saving my bloodline and getting children to experience way better than I got to. Maybe that in and of itself is selfish, but at the end of the day, I know that this is a part of what I am sent here to do. And regardless of if you look at it like that, even getting to experience a better quality of life, you have to treat your sexual nature divinely and purely if you want any sort of better quality of life in general. If you want to turn shame into glory, which we'll get into in a minute, you have to be able to look at these things from a higher lens, from a lens that has literal higher vibrations within it, because we were born and dwelling in Babylon with low ones. Hello, Babylon. We are about to teach you how to free yourself from bondage. So how does man understand his animal nature and how to fight not against it, but understand it enough to be able to rise above it and turn his shame into glory? Because shame is inevitable with pride, and your animal nature is consistently attempting to exert pride. Because guess what? Your nervous system has a tracker in it. And what does this tracker consist of? The social dominance hierarchy, aka your social status, where you think you fit in regards to the ladder of people. And what does that always boil down to? Once again, sex. How desirable you are to a mate. A child doesn't kill themselves, but a teenager does for that purpose, because they become sexual. They bite from the fruit of sexuality. So what does that mean in regards to the social hierarchy? Well, your nervous system negates your sensitivity to your negative emotions based on your placement in society. Yeah, that's right. Your insufficiencies as you look out in the world are what makes you feel the way that you do. And it makes you do all these alternative mediums to find ways to put yourself above these people, and makes more shame come with that. So at the end of the day, your insufficiencies are trying to be covered up by these lower vibrational emotions, but at the end of the day, it's causing you to be more upset. It's causing you a lower quality of life at a constant. Because at the end of the day, you are able to see above this social dominance hierarchy and do the best you can for your vessel and actually experience a higher quality of life without having to be a victim to the samsara wheel, a victim to life's natural social dominance. And at the end of the day, you should be trying to get to the top of that rank, because I can't lie, this is a competitive world. You need to be able to protect yourself. You need to put yourself in the situations where you can do that, so you have the ability to experience that higher quality of life. That's a battle with nature out here. Flesh versus spirit, once again. But you can do the best that you can and not feel like you have to succumb to society's standards, especially in fucking Babylon, because you'd be treated so much better in a different place where people's sexual desires weren't absolutely exploited in front of everybody's faces and perverted so deep to the point where it's normal to look at this shit oddly. Bro, I'm looking up wet dreams and how to prevent them. The first thing Google says is regular masturbation. I'm like, bro, they literally want to kill us. That shit makes you live less longer, because there is no spirit without life force energy. Other than that, you're just a sack of flesh. Consistently getting rid of what actually makes you able to be pure or a human, because that energy is what gives you the ability to create more life. And it also is the source of your very consciousness itself. I get into this in almost every video, but at the end of the day, if you're not on semen retention, this video is going to do you no good. You will never be able to fight or rise above your animal nature if you're consistently exerting yourself at your lowest form, fam. Your root chakra. At the lowest level, that's where the animal nature is exerted at that time that you know exactly what happens when you do that. That's what I was doing for 10 years when I was watching porn. But also, if you're consistently doing it, even with the woman that you're married with, you're still going to be in those perpetual lower animal states, because it is inevitable when you exert yourself at your lower nature that you will feel low. So cultivate the discipline, bro. Be able to please your woman without having to release this shit all the time. Amazing. But the question is, how do we turn shame into glory? And what process does the flesh have to go through in order to get there? Because the question that really made me want to make this and create this and teach you guys whatever the hell is about to get taught, or already has been, Does the flesh have to go through a grieving process once you begin to rise in the spirit? I want to know. And let me pick apart that question for a minute. Does the flesh have to grieve? Well, given the fact that it's already a lower emotion, I'm sure the flesh is grieving the entire time that you are attempting to kill what the ego was used to in its loop, because your ego loves the loop. And what is the ego? It's anything that identifies and clings on to this fleshly material realm. It's inevitable that you will build an ego here. You're trying to stay alive. I get it. You're trying to build a better quality of life for you and the people around you. But at the end of the day, you got to build a healthy relationship with that ego and be able to wrestle with these emotions, or wrestle with God, so to speak. Because it's inevitable, man. You're going to exert your lower animal nature. It's going to be fighting you. It's going to be constantly trying to manifest itself, especially if you rise in the spirit. But you can cultivate the discipline spiritually. Like my boy Divine Messenger said, if you got an ego and a noogie, your spirit your spirit got your ego and a noogie, and your ego got your spirit and a noogie, and it just depends on the season of the life. But at the end of the day, we're trying to strive towards greater goals and cultivate discipline in this area. So we have to recognize that the flesh is grieving for its losses, bro. Every time you try to exert yourself in a higher form, the devil's got his claws in your heart. And he's just holding the fuck on, trying so harshly not to get casted away, because he's so familiar with the place that he's sitting at that moment. That devil is you. It's that part of you. But at the end of the day, you can also externalize the entity, because as within, so without. You need to externalize the entity. If I'm going to be real with you, Carl Jung would heal his patients who were always in their mind thinking about shit 24/7, too intellectual to be able to wrestle deeply with the external. He would have them draw out the sin that they were fucking dealing with, and it would heal them within 3 to 4 days, because they were able to externalize this entity. For example, you eating all the time, you got gluttony, draw that shit out. You're not going to want to keep doing that if you see what that spirit is that's over you, because you realize that's not you. But you feel that way at the moment. Emotions are not new. There is nothing new under the sun. You are going through the same human experience that everyone else has gone through since the dawn of time. History repeats itself, and it's consistently happening, because there is no such thing as a past life, just parallel. So what you got to understand is there is nothing new happening to you right now, bro. This is the battle since the dawn of time. And we're trying to turn our shame into glory to experience a better quality of life. You can check out this vibrational spectrum of emotion. It's really just here so you can fucking look at it. I don't know if you can even read that. Bring it closer. Who cares? You would have zoomed in or something already. But I like looking at this because it shows me a glimpse of what it really takes. I put shame at the bottom because shame is already at the bottom. And I put glory at the top because enlightenment. And what the hell else is glory? Highest place of consciousness that you can be. You turn your shame into glory. You turn your lead into gold once you're able to master this battle of flesh and spirit. That is what we are attempting to do here. Spirit is potential. It is limitless. It is limitless, and of course, when you're breaking limitations, the things that are binded to you that kept limiting you are gonna keep attempting to exert themselves over you. That's why it is difficult. That's why the flesh has a grieving process, as you are attempting to do better for yourself in every moment of the day, as you actually are attempting to change habits, as you actually are putting yourself in better mind states, in higher places. Because, bro, I remember for so long I wrestled with this shit. I wanted such better for myself, and I just could not stop doing the shit that I hated about myself. And I couldn't stop putting myself in this perpetual cycle of self-hatred. And I'm like, how the fuck and why the fuck is this continuing to happen? But I realized that these were things that were binded to my vessel, and my flesh has to go through a grieving process. That means every entity that's in your vessel has to grieve. You have to go through the grief to get it out. You have to go from the bottom to the top. You didn't get fucked up overnight, and you're not going to get fixed overnight either, god damn it. And that's the fucking truth. Excuse my French, but you know I don't care. I'm young. I'll probably clean it up in the future. Maybe. But who cares? You're hearing what I'm saying and you're understanding, and I know that you are. You have to go through all of this unless you just want to stay at the bottom and continue to be numb, exerting yourself at your lower animal nature. There is nowhere higher vibrations to be experienced because you're just dwelling in the 3D. These things go above what you can see. Do you not realize that? Bro, all you can see is animal nature and flesh. But these things that help you experience a better quality are above what you can see. You can't see the love for your mom. You can't see the love for your wife. You can't see the love that it takes to create a family. No, all you can see is animals perpetually cycling in nature. But what you gotta understand is that you have to be able to look above your own limitations to be able to break that loop that your ego loves about yourself to get to a limitless potential in spirit, because that's what spirit is quantum reality. You can be in any place that you want to be when you are able to quantum shift. And the only way that you can quantum shift is by killing that flesh. But you cannot kill that flesh unless you let it go through its grieving process. Cry, motherfucker. Everything that you thought you knew is no longer. And yeah, it gets to be greater than that. But at the end of the day, you were stuck holding on to this shit for so long and it wasn't even your fault. I'm not saying cry, but I'm saying, even though I just did, I'm saying you have to feel these things to heal them. You have to feel it to heal it. Look, bro. You have to be willing to bear the fullness of this experience, because would you rather be numb or get to experience the joys in life? You can't have it without the other, because once again, you're in a battle between your animal nature and the fact that you are a divine essence of soul. But that soul incarnated as an animal for a fucking reason. So it could tame it. So it could tame it, so it could turn its lead into gold, so it could bring its shame into glory. And that is why we glory through tribulations, because we understand that tribulation produces perseverance, and perseverance character, and character hope, and hope does not disappoint, because that is the gift of the Holy Spirit pouring through you at that moment when you are able to understand and have a quantum mindset and know that there is something greater out there for you. You just have to align with it, aka getting yourself to the place where you are aligning with it every fucking day, because hope exhibits belief, and belief exhibits action. But it is hard to change these internal beliefs that we have been clinging on to for so long. That is why the spirit rising causes the flesh to grief. But you have to cultivate the awareness enough to understand why you are feeling these things, why these things are trying to re-manifest into your life. But please, and please, and please, give yourself some credit, chosen one. You are actually attempting to bear the weight that your parents didn't. You are actually attempting to bear the weight that your grandparents didn't and save us from Babylon. Thank you. Keep doing your part. These things will never be your destiny. Just because they might feel like that's all there is to life in the moment, remember, the moment is always fleeting with time. So life is a spectrum of experience. You have to remember this, and you can breathe any moment and separate yourself from that experience and get yourself to that place where you know your glory is there once you have finally done what is necessary and gone through the grieving process of flesh and killed your pride and gained the courage and gained the will to gain your spirit back and put it where you need it to be, like you had it when you were a child, but life took it away from you. Well, now we say, fuck that shit. None of these people in society who are literal robots for the manifestations of evil all around are going to take away our glory, are going to put us to shame, are going to keep us down in these lower vibrations. We will not go down in vain, not in this lifetime, not in the lifetimes. No, no, no. We are going to take all of our past parents' lives and fucking make them worth something. We are going to understand that we have limitless potential and kill this loop that our ego loves that was created by our fucking family. It wasn't even our fault, gang. But you got to understand, you chose this for a particular reason. So remember, be able to look at this from as many angles as you possibly can. And that, first of all, this is necessary and it was created for a purpose, because look at it, it's all around you. It's all you can see. That's all nature is. But what you are looking for is beyond what you can see. That is why we must rise in the spirit, because in order to create the reality that has been implanted in those authentically desired dreams within your mind since the dawn of your freaking time, you have to be able to see above what keeps you behind, which is the flesh, which is death. Christ beat it. Buddha beat it. You did too, because they are you. You just have to be willing to see it. You have to be willing to see the fact that you incarnated as an animal for a purpose, but that is pain. That is the most innate feeling within the third dimensional existence, within the physical plane of reality, is pain. But that pain puts us to shame, but it will not go in vain as long as we are able to transmute it and understand that our shame and our glory, our pain and our joy, our peace and our death are one. Our animal and our man are one. Our flesh and our spirit are one. One of them dies, but it consistently remanifests. Life in and of itself can't cease to be, even human life. So then what? Where have you ever seen a time where flesh wasn't manifesting? It's always here. It's necessary for spirit to exert itself. That's what's giving you this current experience. So stop hating it. Stop putting it to its own shame. Stop letting it dwell within its own feelings of these lower vibrations, and understand and shed it love, and put compassion on your shame, and put compassion towards your anger, and hold these lower vibrational emotions like a fucking mother holding a baby and putting it to peace. Sing it a damn lullaby. Your voice is your greatest healer. Gate, gate, parum, gate, parasum, gate, bodhisvaha. Cast those fucking spells on yourself to help heal your goddamn nervous system, and understand that there are greater qualities of life to be experienced than what you can only think you are limited to at this moment, at those moments in the past trauma that keep remanifesting themselves, where you get plunged into that back mind state, because a trauma is like a refraction on your mind. You know when you put a straw in the water and it does that shit? Yeah, it's stuck in the past. A place of your nervous system still cannot catch up to the future. That is what trauma does. It splits your brain and it keeps it there. So what you got to understand is that these past traumas remanifesting is putting you back there without even understanding that you have already experienced these things that your higher enlightenment, your higher self, your God above you has shed and brought to you. You can't even see those experiences within your mind's eye at the moment, because you're stuck in a place where they never existed. But you have to become aware of these things, and you have to become aware of what created your trauma, and you have to become aware of the fact that this is bloodline, this is ancestry, this is something that you came here and decided to will and bear. And what are you gonna fucking do? Keep sitting in your shame or turn it into your glory? We already went through what you gotta do to get there. You gotta let that flesh grief itself, because you're gonna kill it. And realize that the spirit was able to turn that flesh into whatever the fuck it thought it was. Because you're not killing your flesh, you're killing your ego, which is what your flesh thinks it is. Flesh is not death, because this shit always lives. It's not this. The flesh that is death is the concept of flesh. The fact that it dies and withers away over time. But flesh is beauty. You are put into it. You are a beautiful creation of the Most High. And you can only see that within your quantum realm of potential if you're able to go past what you thought it was, by letting yourself feel and rise above these things, and separating yourself from them, and separating yourself from the experience while you're having the experience, instead of only dwelling within it. Because allowing yourself to feel doesn't mean just sitting in it. That means allowing those tribulations to be gloried through. Is what allowing yourself to feel is. Legitimately. How do you separate the idea from allowing yourself to feel from just dwelling in the emotions? Because some people will take it that way. We move forward ever, backward never, bro. Observe what the hell is keeping you bound and observe what the hell is bounding you forward. Allowing you to rebound. You get what I'm saying? It's literally like a rebound. Like you pick back up where you left off. But you allow yourself to feel that in the moment that it arises. Don't exert it. Don't go hurt people. Don't go hurt yourself. Feel the fucking emotion and get through it. Because there's no way out but through. You can't run away from your fucking self. You can only love it. And allow it to be what it is. So that it can finally turn into something greater than it thought it was. I love you, Jehovah Elohim. Tune in for more teachings. Like, comment, subscribe. I post all the time. I'm consistent with it. And I'm not stopping anytime soon. So, I'm taking over this shit. Hallelujah.